That's right. Big Magnum worms. The summertime's the time to be throwing them.
Yep.
Bass are looking for that big meal, but not a lot of wanting to put in effort to get it. So you just want to put it right in front of them, have that big old feast of a meal, and you want to rip them lips, boy.
Indeed.
What better do that with than a Magnum worm? Worms just catch bass. There's something inherently ingrained in a bass's mind that they want to eat a worm.
They've been eating them for years.
Yeah, and in summertime, you just want to upscale that a little bit. Take that 1080p into 4K.
One of the most popular worms, Senkos.
Senkos. They're great.
But in the summer, you might want to throw a larger variety Senko.
Something a little thicker.
Like a 7-incher.
Indeed.
Or larger.
Indeed. I think it's Magnum baits that makes a 10-inch Senko, which is pretty dang wild.
Specifically, these stickos for Bass Pro are 7 and an 1/8 inch.
7 and 1/8 inch. Quite negligible, I would think. But that Houdini pattern, I've caught some fish on this, okay?
It's really good, just overall, like, clearer water, more natural presentation, and it's a pretty popular swim bait, soft swim bait color, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, if you go back and watch our first video ever on this channel, it was who makes the best Senko. And surprisingly enough, really the whole point of the video is to compare every other brand, company, back to the Yamamoto Senko. And the Sticko prevailed in that video.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the closest representation I could find to an actual Senko.
Yeah, it just caught fish, and they're at a great price point. And the 7-inchers are easily accessible. You can easily find them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to go searching for them.
No, you just go to that Bass Pro, pull them off the shelf, and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
Like we are to our next bait. All right, to knock out another venerable bait. This one actually known for its massive size. And actually one of the smaller entries in our actual Magnum worm. Actually, no, it's not. I lied. Discount that. But being well known for a Magnum worm itself, the Mag Ol' Monster. Its smaller counterpart, the Ol' Monster, is not itself a small bait. It's still 10.5 inches.
Yeah.
But the Mag Ol' Monster at that 12-inch size with that ribbon tail profile, man. I mean, how many fish do you think we've caught on these?
Oh, stupid amount.
Oh yeah.
I like rigging them Tokyo rig too.
Yes. I think we actually talked about that in a video from about this time last year.
Yeah.
Over the lake. But man, I mean, I like how thick the ribbon is on this.
Yeah, it's nice and durable.
Yeah. Zoom, just a great company. Been making plastic worms since close to the beginning of plastic worm making.
And this is one of my favorite colors too, plum apple.
Yeah, plum apple. That is a great color.
You know, a lot of people, purples and red bugs and June bugs and stuff like that are really popular, but personally, I just really like plum.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's more geography. I think Kentucky plum is just a great color to be throwing. Very popular.
Yeah.
Very well known bait, and you will catch fish on these.
And just to preface, most of these baits, you don't have to use an oversized EWG or anything.
No.
You can do a 3/0 and be fine.
Yeah.
Because in our experience, from what we've noticed, most of the fish will grab it by the head on the fall.
Absolutely. I think larger hooks is more of a preference thing. I have recently gotten into using 5/0 worm hooks, but that's probably the biggest I'll ever go is a 5/0. But I mean, we've rigged them up with 3s and 4s plenty of times, and never had an issue. Never had an issue with missing fish.
No.
Yeah, it just seems to me that they're always hitting it from the head.
Keep them with decent price points.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, this is probably the cheapest entry on this list.
It's the Mighty Worm from Yum. Simple.
I think consistently these are $3.50. Sometimes you find them on sale for less than $3. So I mean, definitely affordable.
Yeah, and they come in a 5-pack. Okay. And you got this nice big old bulbous tail on this sucker.
Oh yeah.
Nice and ridged all the way down across the back. And it's got this flat, almost like a concave body on the bottom. And, you know, this is quite an interesting color. They call it Ultra Craw. It's a summer craw,
Yeah,
essentially.
great color, especially for the summer.
Who'd have thunk it? But man, at this price point, just to dip your toes in the water on some big old worm action, this is an easy way to do it.
Yeah.
And you can rig this any way you want, weightless, weighted, Tokyo, T-rig, just...
Yeah, and, you know, still one of my favorite Magnum worms.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just, when you're starting to get into Magnum worm fishing, I don't think you could start at a better place.
No.
I mean, it's cheap, and it's very effective.
Oh, yeah.
They're great. And you rig that on Magnum, shaky head, Texas rig, anything, you're going to catch. Pretty much from here on out, we're sticking to straight tail worms.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we have any other types for the rest of the list. But next is this J-Mag worm from V&M.
Good looking sucker.
Dude, it is nice. It is thick all the way down. It doesn't really taper all that much. There's a little bit of taper right here, but back to that bulbous cupped tail. This sucker gets you some action underwater. And man, they just love it.
Yeah. And one thing I really say that I like about these is that when you're dealing with Magnum worm fishing, one consideration you want to have is durability.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're slinging out a big chunk of plastic that will have a tendency to hook back into itself. You want to make sure that it's durable.
Yep.
And these suckers are tough feeling. Like these are dense,
Yeah.
and they got, this almost feels like a creature bait plastisol.
Yeah, yeah, you know, I've used them a lot, and I've caught a lot of fish on them, and usually I don't have to replace the worm unless I get hung in a log or something, I just break off. I love these worms. I think from here on out, we're pretty much going in order of my favorites. I think, yeah, pretty much in order, 5 to 1, these are my favorite worms for Magnum worm fishing. And this is deservedly right at the top.
And if you want to try around with a Magnum wacky rig, this is a pretty decent worm to try it with. It's nice and equally sized. You won't your O-ring can set just about dang near in the middle of it, and you could have a big fluttering action, especially with that one cupped end that might entice a little bit more of a little reaction strike. Maybe move a little bit more water on that side. You never know.
Indeed. And you know what? Just so you guys can see this up close, we'll get this up close for you. But I mean, nice ribbed body all the way down. Got a lot of action, not a lot of taper. This is a realistic looking worm to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's giant, but it's realistic. All right. And now for my favorite of the Magnum worms. I mean, is there any other option than the man's jelly worm? Specifically in this black grape color. Because
grape soda.
It smells so good. A little different. So, straight tail worm, but it has this kind of spade tail on the end.
Yep.
That kind of gives it just a little bit of a flap, kind of a little bit of action. But this 12 and a half inch worm, man, it catches them. I think I forgot to say that J-Mag is 11 inches. But this man's 12 and a half. Got some stretch to it.
Yep.
It's more durable. It's not the most durable. It's just so long that kind of starts to kind of tear a little bit behind the hook. But man, it's soft enough that it has quite a nice action. It just catches them. I mean, you take this out to a pond, a lake, a river, anywhere you want to go, you're going to catch bass on this worm.
And don't be afraid to try Magnum fishing. You know, this entire video is about Magnum worms. Okay.
Right.
So this is under the pretense that you've already been thinking about it. But for those who haven't thought about it or tried it, and your consideration is my fisheries don't have big 5, 6, 7 plus pounder fish. Small fish still go for these. Man. The amount of sub 1 pound fish that will go after a meal this large is crazy.
I mean, I love catching fish on Magnum worms.
The same size fish they'll go after a normal Senko will go after this.
Right, I've literally caught fish half the length of a Magnum worm.
It's crazy. And you just that grape smell, dude.
Oh yeah. Oh, it smells so good. Oh man. And then just some honorable mentions, in case you find some of these instead of the ones we talked about this list. These are still all great worms to use.
Yep.
It's just they didn't necessarily make it into our top 5. Starting with the old 6 cent Divine Shaky Worm in that 9.5 inch size.
Yep, as the name suggests, shaky head worm, but this sucker's big enough to T-rig it and do just about anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's heavily ribbed going down.
Yep.
Got a good anise smell on it.
Moves a lot of water with those big ridges.
A lot of action, and it does catch fish.
Yes.
Yeah, that's that dark water bug color.
Really good color.
Oh my gosh, love that color.
I'm holding up these Gambler ER16s.
Yeah.
Now these are Logan's, and I don't think you've had the pleasure of fishing with
I
these.
have not.
And I'm not going to take them out because this tube, it's hard to get them back in this tube, especially with the humidity right now. But big old 16-inch straight tail worm.
Yeah, and I will get these out and fish with them, and I'll let you guys know about them.
But these suckers are just nutty.
They are. I mean, it's just, we couldn't talk about Magnum worms and not talk about these, even though we have fished with them yet.
One honorable mention that I don't have here with me are the Strike King thumper worms.
Absolutely.
Those are really nice. They got a nice flanged tail on them.
Also, the striking bull worms. I mean, the 8-inch size is really good, but it's not so Magnum. The 10-inch 10-inch bull worms. That's a Magnum worm. It's a big worm, and it's still great. But all the worms we talked about in this video are great Magnum worms.
Yes.
Please don't be scared to try it. I know I kind of was at first. Got it out. Ripped some lips. Love Magnum worm fishing. One of my favorite techniques now. All these worms are great. So please go out, check out Magnum worms. Get the ones you can afford. Really, I don't think I've ran into many that were very high in price.
No.
I mean, most of the worms in this category were sub $6.
Oh yeah, and they usually come,
all of them.
And they usually come in a quantity of 5 in a pack.
Kicked a rod over there. With that, let's just wrap up this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and
ring that notification bell. Alrighty, leave a comment down below on what your favorite Magnum worm was from this video.
Absolutely.
And if you've already been using Magnum worms, what's your PB Magnum worm?
Oh yeah,
Fish.
Your fish. Not your
PB Magnum worm. Yeah.
Somebody's got out there got a 19-inch fat worm.
Oh
man.
yeah. I fish with those massive gummy worms. They're like this long, 1 pound.
That seems like a Florida fake fisherman. Okay, we're gonna wrap up the video. Bye.